and concisely. And once you learn how to do that, then you can bring in all the stakeholders and you can get into programs that'll help you and train you on how to build it. But that first step is you have to design a business model that is desirable.
When I initially moved back to Pensacola, I had a meeting with Lloyd. Lloyd invited me for breakfast and I was telling him, man, I still have an idea for the entertainment industry. This is what I wanted to do. He was like, all right, I got Startup on the Blocks. So I need you to start coming to Startup on the Blocks and get a little more information on how to work through the tech ecosystem and take your idea and we'll get you where you need to go. My company is called The Know, is an app that is streamlining business for the entertainment industry. Yeah, so if you're a musician, what you would do is pretty much jump on the platform, you'll create a profile, but the way we created the profile is pretty much a cleaner way. So now if they want more information about you, you'll connect your social media platforms, your streaming platforms, and that way they can go directly to it. What we also have included is your calendar. So pretty much you can set your days, you can set your price for your days and automate your booking. So initially talking to Lloyd, my idea was all here, it was there, it was over here, it was over there. It was like, all right, Quinn, I get it. You got a lot that you want to do, but we need you to bring it in just a little bit and then work on your pitch, your story, and how you're going to bring it full circle to get people to understand what you're trying to create.
Most of the programs here wasn't inclusive, and so we said we'll focus on helping founders of color. We also start at the beginning of the thing, at the idea stage, whereas a lot of the programs you see here locally, they start after you're up, and that's not very efficient unless you have, if you don't have a lot of money, you can't recover from your mistakes. And the lean startup system, it actually helps you make mistakes faster before you spend a lot of money. You don't actually start building anything until you got customer buy-in.
There was a need for small businesses to bring brand awareness to their business. I see there's a lot of makers and bakers that they're making all of these goodies and these products, but they can't market it, they can't sell it at the same time, and there needs to be kind of like that middleman, that middle person to help bring economic growth to some of the small businesses in Pensacola. So Taste of Pensacola, I came up with that idea during the pandemic when I saw things at that time that Amazon couldn't fulfill. They didn't even have those products, but the local people in the community, they did. And so there was a ton of people coming out saying, hey, I make masks. I'm like, wow, this is amazing. All the local people here that are just as talented that can actually make those products. And so I wanted to kind of showcase who they were. So with Taste of Pensacola, our income streams, we have several of them. We have the corporate America, we do corporate gifting, just regular consumers, different Pensacola natives that don't live here that want to purchase our boxes, like a taste of weddings, distribution. So we also do bulk sales. So for a private airline, if they want some local snacks and goodies on their passenger flights, they will come to Taste of Pensacola and we will source their vendors here locally. And we'll give a small business owner an opportunity to have reoccurring monthly sales. I've always had a really big vision for Taste of Pensacola. I knew that it could go beyond just local. I know that maybe other communities could possibly use the same platform that I'm trying to build. And I always have these big visions, but I never know how to even get there. Where do I start? I know it's more than, there's a lot of technical things behind it. I know there's a lot of research, but that connection, I never had it until, thankfully, I met and was introduced to Startups on the Blocks and was able to just learn more about how to grow it in terms of data. Things I just never thought about, framework, words like traction. There's a lot of things that I just did not know about and language that I need to know in order to get funding for my business. There's just a lot that I didn't know.
I would go to the stores and look online. They didn't have a wide variety of natural hair products about 8 years ago. And the ones that they did have, the ingredients, it would say that they were all natural. And when I would research the ingredients, a lot of the ingredients were not natural. I make everything, my shampoo, conditioner, I have an oil that I make, and I have 2 different separate butters. Like I had some people who were completely bald and grew their hair. It's about giving women their confidence back in their hair. I have this salon and I have a second salon, and I have my products in about 5 beauty supply stores. So I need a manufacturer to keep up with the demand at this point. Startup on the Blocks has helped my business grow, send me to different people. I'm able to do different pitch competitions to apply for grants in the community for small businesses. Lloyd's a really good person to connect with. He has a lot of resources here in the community that can help small businesses grow. If you have a product out there and you're trying to go big time, he's the person that you would want to meet with.
So it's really important to have some type of support because 9 times out of 10, most founders start out on their own. And to have somebody that has an idea of how the ecosystem works and is able to tap into other resources and bring back to the community, and that pretty much has encountered some of the roadblocks or going through the same roadblocks that we're currently going through and understands where you're at, your culture and how you respond to things, is a big help because you don't really have too many people that have access to what we have access to here in the community. And a lot of people believe that you have to leave and go to bigger cities to do the things that we're doing here. But I mean, it's one thing to have exposure, but you have to actually know it's here in the community in order to take advantage of the resources. So I get approached and I talk to friends all the time that wants to either start an idea or hear that I'm actually doing the app and wants to know more information about how are you doing it or what's the process, what's the path. I'm like, man, we have somebody here, Startup on the Blocks, Lloyd Richard. And Lloyd is here, he's a great resource to the community and to founders that's trying to learn the ecosystem. So join Startup on the Blocks.
Hey, how's it going, Ray?
Hey, what's going on, Lloyd? How are you doing?
Fantastic. Glad to have you back and with your new branding here. Looking forward to hearing more about that.
Yes, sir. I appreciate it. Thank you. Always a pleasure.
Yeah. Let me give you a good introduction. I'll let you do. I'll put you up on the screen here and let you do a short introduction of yourself here. Yes. All right. So just for maybe 1 to 2 minutes or so, Ray, just introduce yourself.
Yeah, so my name is Ray Arsenault. I'm a founder of Black Tech Mafia. What Black Tech Mafia is an organization for us to utilize technology to solve some of the problems in our community by leveraging technology. I'm a software developer, and I got started in this journey originally creating a learning app for my youngest son, Chandler, when he was about 2 years old. And from there, it transformed into health. I'm type 1 diabetes. I have type 1 diabetes. And so I created a diabetes app to help me manage my A1C that originated during the pandemic. As we know that a large percentage of those who passed away from the COVID-19 also had diabetes. And so at that point in my life, I wanted to try to do something that was meaningful and purpose. And started the A1C plan, the diabetes healthcare company, and then now the rest is history. So.
All right, we're gonna kind of backtrack on all of that stuff so folks can learn a little bit more in detail about your journey. And folks in our audience, feel free to use the chat to ask questions. I think I know on the StreamYard channel, the Facebook channel, and maybe the YouTube channel, you should be able to make comments and they show up here so you can ask questions of Ray as we dive a little deeper. But first, I'm going to give a little shout out to our sponsors and partners. And of course, we couldn't be here without them. And so that's what's so important about to kind of recognize them and for some best practices out there, whether you're a startup or a nonprofit or any kind of organizations, you have to have some partners to kind of help you fulfill your mission. And so, Ray and I, we met through the Blacks in Technology Foundation through the startup program. And then so we also partner with Startup Science, Coda, Make Startups, PitchBob. All these things are tools that you can use as a founder to help you grow your startup. And we primary tool we use is the Lean Stack platform. And we partnered with the Black Innovation Leaders of Florida, and I'll show you some more about our IP launch program we do with them. We get a lot of training and networking through both Black Innovation Alliance and Goody Nation. So that's kind of a good deal there. I'd say through our partnership or relationship with Black Innovation Leaders of Florida, we attended the Prosperity Now Summit up in Washington D.C. last week. So that was a great event, and I mentioned this to a couple of folks last Monday night a week ago. Anyway, in the beginning planarium on that, Ray, they had a $100,000 pitch competition. 3 people were competing for $100,000 for doing maybe a 5-minute pitch, and so one lady walked away with a $100,000 check. So, but that's a lot of opportunities out there, and we have these events on regularly on Thursday nights, so people can kind of learn some of the best practices for all that. So all of these organizations you see on here help fund what we do, and so we definitely appreciate them and their in our partnership uh, with them. So so part of a startup founder best practices is that we want to make sure you have the knowledge to build your business and grow your business. So in the lean stack, um, that helps you design a scalable business model, and then in the 90-day program, it teaches you how to sell your product or service. And so, Ray, when you all were in the 90-day thing, I've learned we've learned a lot more about what the 90 day is all about and the value of it. And so what it basically what I kind of boil down the value of it is founders go out and get stuff built and then they have trouble selling it. But the 90-day thing actually what it's all about is actually called demand validation, but it's actually teaching you how to sell your product. And so it's a really neat thing there. And the startup science, yeah. So we all in on that as well, and that's about doing the operations of your startup. And Ray, you all have access to this thing, but I don't. You probably hadn't been in there a while. They got a lot more stuff in there now, a lot more classes. They got a lot more tools, in there for market analysis, finding partners, finding investors, and it got a lot of perks in there too. And so a lot of sample documents. So it's really good. Co-founder OS, we partnered with Make Startups and have access to that platform. But it's a neat platform as well. It uses AI to help you learn how to answer questions. So when you fill out a thing for a pitch competition or get in an accelerator program, it kind of grades your answer and teaches you how to do better answers when you're filling out the application. So Patent Hacks, we have that through the Black Innovation Leaders of Florida, and so we're only going to have that until I think sometime to the end of January of next year. But the neat thing about that is we have some license. Anybody, if you want, you can get access to if you want to learn how to do a trademark or a patent. But we also have some license to file for a patent or file for a trademark. So that's available, but you need to take advantage of that as soon as possible. It's on our Kakoo Institute Get Started page. Just click that link for Patent Hacks, and then you can kind of take advantage of that opportunity. Yeah. So yeah. So and the other thing that's changed in the coming year. So with our Lean Stack program, we have unlimited license for you to have access to that business model design training, but that's going to change at the end of January. So if you haven't gotten access to that, you need to get access to it immediately if you want to have access to the platform. If you get a license now, you still can continue But right now we have unlimited. But next year we're gonna be limited to 100 licenses, and so that's Ray. So you all up in Memphis, if your Blacks in Technology group up there want to get some licenses of that, we can work that out so they can get the free licenses to do that. And the good news for that is we also have the prompt that takes you through it, AI prompt that takes you through it and generate the stuff as well. And that prompt also includes the updated prompt includes the 90-day stuff as well. And see, I'm gonna be nice today, and I'm gonna throw that prompt in the chat. And
Yeah, right.
yeah, I'm gonna throw that in the chat. It's a Google Doc, and you just have to make a copy of the Google Doc and and type in your business idea and industry. So let me see if I can get it in here. So looks like you got a little extra stuff in there. Let's see, that should do it. So that prompt, and I'll quickly show it. Then Ray, you and I can kind of get rolling in our conversation. Let's get rid of that. Let's make the screen a little smaller. Got it too big. Let me reduce it a little bit. Down to the bottom of it, looks like it. Yeah, but this prompt in this area, just all you have to do once you get it, you just go up here and you make a copy of it. Then with that copy, you just edit it or and put your information, your business idea in here and your industry. And here you can do as much detail or not if you like, but it does 18 things and you'll be, you can run it in Chat GPT, Gemini, Claude. Claude gives you a very, very detailed analysis of your business idea. And so, but if that prompt literally takes you through all the lean stack training. And so it's it's really valuable. That's all I can say. So that's kind of our thanks for you all listening, listening to and participating, and everything in it. So, but Ray, literally, I'm telling you, all that stuff we were trying to figure out in the 30 day and the 90 day, that prompt does it all for you. Yeah. So.
Yeah.
So things are a lot easier than they used to be.
A lot easier than they used to be.
Yeah, thanks to AI, for sure. Yeah.
Yes.
So, yeah. So hopefully, your folks up there that's doing entrepreneurship can kind of move forward. Yeah, we're we definitely try to make these resources available to everybody, but we do focus on helping Black founders to kind of move forward. And I think Ray, that's kind of where your area is too. So what's the vision behind this Black Tech Mafia thing you got going on here?
Well, it was basically to get people's attention. Black Tech Mafia is going to get people's attention. So it was all about the branding.
Okay.
And then understanding how technology is right now, especially with AI, what it can do for us, right? We have so many of these problems that have been systematic problems within our within this whole ecosystem of us trying to start our own businesses. We think about Dr. King and what he fought for was not only civil rights, but it was also economic rights, right?
That's
Jobs,
right. Yeah.
employment, education. So Black Tech Mafia is trying to pick, some of that for our younger generation to understand that they have something that our ancestors didn't have, that my grandparents didn't have, and now this thing called AI. As I met Robert F. Smith a few weeks ago here, and he came to Nashville, and he called this the fifth industrial revolution. So
Okay.
that's the whole thing about the Black Tech Mafia is to take that idea of solving our problems. We're already by nature very innovative, creative, beans, we push the culture, and we make everything pop. And now we have something called technology that we can leverage, and we don't have to have millions and millions and billions of dollars to do it, but we have what I call is hustle.
Yeah.
So you take Black Tech Mafia, you think about the mafia back in the days, and it was a negative connotation around it. But now you take that technology, and we're the Black Tech Mafia, that we're going to work together with other founders. We're going to
Yeah.
solve these problems within our community, and we're going to serve our community. So, the biggest thing within our community is that we have Black businesses, right?
Yeah.
But we don't have Black businesses that have create jobs, right?
Yes.
And more than likely, if we have a college student now that may go to a historical Black college and they experience that, but once they leave that college, they're going to go more than likely go work for a predominantly white organization, right? And
Yeah.
so it's all about the economics. It's about the strategy. It's about using this thing called tech, AI, whatever you want to call it now, to start creating businesses in those high impact industries that also serve our people, but also provide our people's career opportunities and access to what we didn't have access to. You know,
Yes. I
so I say Black Tech Mafia now is like the Black Tech Country Club. That's what I
get
want it to be. I want it to be thought of that's where we're gonna hang out. That's where we're gonna take our collective ideas and collaborate, not compete, and just solve some of our own problems and stop asking for external. We have to have some partners, but I believe that a lot of our problems can be solved within internally if
Yeah.
we cooperate with one another. So that's the mafia. If you think about how the mafia was, they worked together, they controlled, they just distribute, and they ran the rules, and there were different families. So the
Yeah.
mafia could be different founders, different organizations like your organization, Black Tech Mafia, Blacks in Technology, that we're
Mhm.
we're working together to solve a common problem, which is not only civil rights, but also civil rights. Is that one of the gentlemen that I follow, John Hope Bryant, that says all the time.
So you said silver, like in the yeah, money.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's what he said. That's not Ray Arsenault. That's all John Hope Bryant. So, but yeah, I definitely like that idea of how we can take technology and especially now with this vibe coding. I mean, you had that conversation a few months ago about
Yeah.
how you can take a weekend to have an idea, and you can have a prototype or have a MVP in a few hours over the weekend. You can actually go test it. Like,
Yeah.
it's the best time ever, as everybody says, to start a business. And
Yeah, so yeah, I was watching a YouTube video yesterday from Ash Marie, and he was talking about this same subject, the vibe coding. And so he said over the past year he had been experimenting with how to use, vibe coding, with to teach, the startup founder stuff and also developing stuff. But he said it was good for him. It was, he didn't. He still wants you to do the stuff in the lean stack, but he said he mentioned that the vibe coding was good for internal tools at a minimum. So making these applications for internal, but as you know, it's good for external stuff too. But he also what he ended up doing was developing a product that he had a landing page for, and but it's a product to design your experiments for your startup. So he's testing these new ideas. So this AI tool that he created will help you design an experiment to take the next step with your business. So you always got this build, measure, learn you loop, but you have to test your assumptions out to make sure they're and kind of validate them. So he developed a tool that helps you do that. And just to show you all the power of AI, I don't tell nobody I did this, but I'll go ahead and admit I did it. I took it.
we're recording this though, aren't we? It's kind of hard not to tell
but,
anybody.
yeah, I'm joking, but anyway, so I took the transcript from that thing and got the insights from it. So typically when I get a transcript or something like that, I'll say what are the takeaways, what are the insights, and what are the actions I can do from that. So I kind of did that with his thing, but again, I had the whole transcript, so I just asked ChatGPT to create me a product requirements document for this tool he was talking about. So it literally generated a product requirement document for the tool he described, because he literally described it. And that's what people don't realize. You know, when you describe your Black Tech Mafia, so the AI takes that transcript of that and it understands what you did, and and can build a business model around that. And that's what the beauty of, that's why I give you that prompt, because there's a lot of things you don't know when you got an idea, and so that prompt will stress test your idea, and and help you understand all the customer segments, everything about your idea, and you can take the results of that prompt, dump it over in the Notebook LM, and then create a interactive podcast where you can actually chat with the podcast about your own idea, and yeah, and so and poke holes in it, and so that's kind of powerful. But to think, just from him doing a 10-minute video, I can get a product requirements document based on what he said. And then, believe it or not, I dumped it over in the two vibe coding tools, and they both built a version of the application almost instantly.
Yeah, and I tell people, you can now in this day and age, the most important thing about a startup is speed now, because now everybody's gonna have these tools,
Yeah,
and so speed is gonna become a very important component to if you win or if you lose in this game, you know. And I think everything is a win, because if you
yeah.
lose, you only lose when you quit, you know.
Yeah,
So
that's exactly
yeah.
right. And you're right about the speed thing. It's the speed of learning, it's the unfair advantage. So you got a product or service, so you need to learn as much as you can from your customers or potential customers, so you know how to keep serving them and keep that business going. And so an AI increase your ability to learn faster, and so that's the kind of the beauty of it. So yeah, so like, yeah, feel free to jump in anytime if you got any uh, questions about anything. So yeah, so Ray, uh, you didn't just hop into um, this idea of this all this stuff you're doing. So just give folks a quick background. So when you were high school or college or whatever, what you were actually thinking about, and just tell them a little bit about your career and how you got transitioned into tech, so folk can understand that.
Yeah, so my background, I first got into real estate at 18, straight out of high school. I skipped college, got my real estate license, did that for a few years,
Okay.
uh, end up getting a part-time teller job at a bank, and started working at the bank while I was selling real estate.
Okay.
And then I said, man, like I really like this finance thing, and ended up going back to college around 26. I was about 26 years old, and
Okay.
went and started. Hey, what's the best thing for me to major in? Finance and real estate. So I got my undergrad degree in finance while I was working at the bank still. While I was in school, I graduated undergrad 2009, and we already know what happened. Wall Street failed, and everything was crazy. So one of my professors, Dr. Doug Timmons, he said, "Hey, you already got a job. You know, it's not too many people that have jobs right now. I'll give you a little money if you want to go get your MBA." And I think that was the best thing I ever did for us career-wise was listen to Dr. Timmons. And
Okay.
so I stayed in, got my MBA, went straight through. I graduated 2012 with my MBA, and then I went to go work for UBS,
Okay.
Financial Services,
Oh yeah.
on their trading desk. So
Trading. Oh,
yeah,
okay.
on their trading desk. So that was a job that taught me a lot about finance, taught me a lot about like how like the real money, right? Wall
Yeah.
Street and everything.
Yeah.
And so I did that job, and I was there for about 4 years. And I was, trying to move up, and those barriers were right there for me. And I was like, well, at that time I both two sons, young sons. One
Yeah.
was a newborn and then a 3-year-old,
Gotcha.
and so I wanted more for them. And so I actually strategically planned my exit from UBS,
Okay.
and And for probably about I did that 2016, and worked on some things, and I met this man by the name of David Wiles here in
Okay.
Nashville, a VC, big time man, big money, always in the community through my stepdad. And he asked me what keeps me up at night, and I told him about this idea, which was like a nonprofit, Sons. It was all about social justice and everything at that time. And he said, "Well, tell me a little bit more about it." And then at that time, that's when my youngest son was kind of like starting to learn how to read, and we were
Mhm.
trying to teach him how to do his ABCs. And so I
Yeah.
created a learning app for him. And
Okay.
so when I created that app, I went to a few div shops here in Nashville, and one told me it would be like 10,000 for MVP. Another told me about 50, and another one told me like $100,000 or something for the app.
And they're
But one,
probably
but
right back
yeah,
then.
and then one of the ladies told me, she's like, you know what? You created this MVP type of product, and your technical writing is like someone that's already been in, tech. You should think about a career in software development. And I was like, I didn't know anything about software development. So that was probably around 2016.
Okay.
And then in 2017, I saw a interview, a podcast with Robert F. Smith.
Okay.
And he said in that podcast, he kept on, and he kept on saying the word Bezos. I'm like,
Okay.
what is Bezos? Like, and that's what Bezos has done. I'm like, Bezos, what is that? I wasn't putting two and two together. And
Okay.
I googled Bezos, and it pulled up Jeff Bezos, and he was talking about Amazon. I was like, oh. And so
Okay.
at the end of the interview, they asked him, what would he be doing without if he wasn't in VC, venture capitalist. He said, well, I will be, solving some real problems. I'll probably be a coder.
Yeah.
And so that's what really made me say, okay, I need to look into this software development thing.
Yeah.
And from there on, I went to the boot camp in 2018, and then the rest is history. Like, that's how I got into tech. So meeting him a few weeks ago was full circle for me, because that's the only reason why I really got into tech, after I saw him talk about coding and Jeff Bezos. And from there on, I just became obsessed with this tech thing. Yeah.
Yeah. So what was that experience like meeting him?
And it's still unreal, because I have been tracking him since 2017, looking at all his videos, following everything about Vista, everything. And so, him coming here and meeting him and being able to actually get him to, sign books for my sons and have a conversation with him, and, meet his team. It was like, it's still unreal for me to really think like, wow, like that's how I got into tech, because I saw him doing it. And so that's really powerful, because that's what more of our kids need in the schools. Like, if we can see someone else do it that looks like us, then we can go do it. We can, it may not be at that level, but we all, something that Mr. Smith talked about before was, we all have our highest and best use within our community. You know, some of us are not all going to be entrepreneurs, but some of us might be able to go and work with the kids at the basketball camp, or read to the kids. He talked about that reading, being able to expose the kids to more than just outside their neighborhood. So that experience is just like me passing it on for what I do with Black Tech Mafia, and going into the schools, and and showing these kids the technology, because like they're brilliant by mark, and how they can actually control it. So that whole experience is still being unbelievable the last couple weeks. I think I'm still on cloud nine, just like, wow, like being able to meet the gentleman who actually got me to thinking about tech, and how it's changed my life and my son's lives. And then other people that I'm meeting that have the same passion about what they do in tech, and might not even be in tech, but still we all have that passion to want to give and do better. So
So remind people who Robert Smith is, because 'cause we just mentioned it kind of casual.
yeah, so everybody, he became mainstream when he did what he did at Morehouse College. Right,
Okay.
that was in 2019. So, but I started tracking him maybe 2, 3 years before then. Robert L. Smith, by trade, he was a chemical engineer,
Okay.
and everything. And so he worked for Kraft, and he has a couple patents that he created.
Mm.
And he ended up getting introduced to one of the gentlemen that worked on Wall Street while he was at a school, and ended up going to Cornell and getting his MBA. And at that point, he ended up getting introduced to Wall Street and
Okay.
met with a lot of people. And so he went to go work for Goldman Sachs on their M&A team, mergers and acquisitions teams. And around I think he said the early 90s, 93, 94, when like the big, Yahoo and all the big companies are out there in San Francisco, he has to, try to create a team out there in California and San Francisco that focused on tech companies because tech
Oh,
was kind
wow.
of big things. And
Yeah.
so it was hard work, knowing, being a craftsman of his work. And so he went out there and built up the Goldman Sachs M&A technology and end up starting his own company. So he's the CEO, founder, CEO, and chairman of Vista Equity Partners. I believe they have over, was it $100 billion in assets? They own a portfolio of different enterprise level software companies that they go
Mhm.
in and buy and have these best practices that they spread across the whole portfolio. And they've been like really doing a great job over the last couple of years. Like no one can touch them, and so he was the gentleman that started that company, and then everybody knows him when he did what he did at Morehouse there at the college for those students, and he continues to do things across the board, and so he's been one of the he was one of the big contributors to the National Museum of African American History in DC as
Okay.
well. So he's, continued to contribute to our community by not only financially, but also being a good man and standing on his word and having different initiatives that help push us, to the next step. So
Yeah. So like, you when he came to Nashville, and I guess you knew he was coming because how did you connect with him?
so the event was about his book. So he just recently wrote a book, The Seven Lead Boldly, Seven
Okay.
Principles of Martin Luther King, and he was on the book tour. So he came to the National Museum of African American Music here in Nashville, that we have an awesome place here. And so he was here to discuss his book. And so he had the discussion. They said that they had, time for maybe one or two questions. And so when it came time to ask the question, I stood up and raised my hand. I didn't wait for them to say anything. And it's kind of hard to say no to someone who's standing up in a room full of 200 people. Sit down. No, you can't ask your question, right?
Yeah.
And so I had prepared a question for him way before, I had it already ready for me actually, and so I was able to ask him a question. I kind of gave him, I kind of laid it out for him because I know how he kind of thinks, and so I kind
Yeah.
of gave him a background. Hey, I've been tracking you, like, hey, on a podcast back in such and such, you said this. Fourth Industrial Revolution, and then
Yeah.
on a podcast with Tony Robbins, you said, you're taking all your companies through something called an agentic factory,
Yeah.
portfolio companies. And so he kind of knew, okay, this guy knows who I am.
Yeah.
Right. And so I asked the question, how, to all the community leaders that were there and other nonprofits and business owners, how can the African American community leverage AI to, pretty much get to the bag and
Yeah.
everything. And he answered it, and it was he said it was a beautiful question, everything, and he laid it out. He showed who he is and knows his stuff, and pretty much gave us the blueprint to what we need to do.
Yes.
And
Okay.
so that's kind of how I got to meet him. One of the Diana Williams out of Philadelphia. She's one of the co-chairs there at the museum, and she was like my angel that night because she was like, "Where's the young man with the gift?" Or asked the question, right? And so I had a gift for him too. That was the other thing. I know most of the time when he speaks and stuff, people always probably ask him for something. So
Yeah.
I wanted to make sure I had something for him, and I did was able to provide him some gifts, Black Tech Mafia merch, branded hat with his logo on it, his initials on the side of the hat, and some things about Black Tech Mafia, and was able to get on the stage with him and shake his hand and thank him first of all, like thank him for not giving up. That was one thing. My first thing when I asked the question, I said, "Well, first of all, Mr. Smith, thank you for not giving up on your internship," because he got an internship years ago at this company called Bell Labs while he was in high school, and that kind of started the trajectory of his life, being able to be exposed to some of those things. and was able to get on stage, shake his hand, thank him. He autographed two of the books for both my sons, and was able to connect with his people and be able to talk to him and kind of let him know what I've been doing. And so I'm working on some things right now for him, and I look forward to be sharing it with y'all in a couple weeks and stuff. But yeah, that's how it happened. Definitely it was definitely a God sent
Yeah.
opportunity. There was no way I could play it out that way like that. And was telling all my friends before that, yeah, I'm going to meet Robert F. Smith, and I can tell some of them was like, oh yeah, you ain't gonna meet Robert F. Smith, but yeah, God made it happen. So it's been actually a great opportunity and experience. So
That sounds great, man.
yeah,
So,
yeah.
but so you also went to some conference he was at in Atlanta?
Yeah, so I went to the Forbes Black Summit in Atlanta, and he spoke there. A lot of heavy hitters, Van Jones, a lot of people uh, were there. That was probably one of the best community business conferences I've ever gone to. Jabari Young, the writer there at Forbes, he's kind of like the lead on that. That's his pretty much conference, and it was an amazing experience there at Morehouse campus, being able to experience that, Black excellence there on Morehouse campus, and then a lot of people from pretty much all over the world. I think it was probably about 500 attendees, and
Okay.
they were from everywhere. I'm talking about L.A., Africa, Chicago, like New York, D.C. It was a lot of good, knowledge, and it was community type of organizations that were there, and I'll be probably traveling to Tulsa, Oklahoma, to Black Wall Street. I met a lot of people there from the Black Wall Street Alliance
Okay.
there, and a place I've never been. So I would definitely want to be able to do that. And made some good connections. And Jabari Young there at Forbes, he said the main thing I want everybody to do is follow up. You know,
Yeah.
we can come, but yeah, let's follow up with each other and see how we can work together to do some things, not only make money but make an impact. So.
Yeah. That sounds like a good opportunity to attend a conference like that. But so how did you find out about that particular conference?
Well, so I was actually invited to the conference. It was one of the speakers that invited me to the conference, and
Okay.
was able to go there and be able to get a VIP treatment. Let's say it was a great conference, and great exposure. A lot of students there, a lot of Morehouse men. Like, hey,
Yeah.
they're on point. I love Morehouse College. I think they got homecoming this week, but it was definitely a great experience.
Yeah. So did you were you able to connect with him some more there? Was he there?
Oh yeah,
Also.
he was there. He was there. But he was meeting with the mayor of Atlanta and some other, high profile people there. Was able to connect with his team because again, a man like that, he has a team, so I was able to connect with his
Yeah.
team and everything. So it was a definitely another opportunity. Maybe shout out to Nashville when he came here and was able to,
Okay.
and everything. So I thought that was pretty cool. He talked about the museum and the meaning of it and stuff. So hopefully, we'll be able to circle back around, and I got some things working on for him right now. So I look forward to
Okay.
reconnecting with him. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. That's a really really good connection. So so in your Black Tech Mafia thing, you talked about closing the racial wealth gap through innovation. So what are the first step founders can take to make that real?
Well, I think we have to kind of identify, those high priority, high market opportunities that, problems, right? Like
Hmm.
the sources. I always remember you saying this: fall in love with the problem and not the product or the
Yeah.
service,
Yeah.
right? So that's the first thing we need to do. We need to expand our horizons into different markets that, different problems that not only yeah, that are always going to be there, right? Like
Yeah.
diabetes is something that's going to always be there unless someone creates a magical shot or pill that makes it goes away. So I would just say, like, definitely identify a problem that has a high market opportunity for you to attack it, right? And
Yeah.
go with it, and then definitely the product market fit, and use AI. AI is like you have a business coach that knows everything about everything, right? And
Yeah.
the cool thing about AI now is, so I use Claude Desktop, uh,
Okay.
and Lord, you know the MCP, the Model Context Protocol.
Yeah.
I've hooked up some of my own data now to Claude.
Okay.
So I'm just not shooting in the dark and typing up a prompt now. It knows exactly what I want and what I need from it. So I would say
Yeah.
what founders should do is start using some of these tools
Yeah.
that can, it gave me an idea that I never thought about.
Yeah.
I was like, "Oh, wow." Like, and because it had context to my actual information,
Yeah. Yeah.
all my data points that I've been keeping up, right? You can
Yeah.
connect it to your Google Drive, and
Yeah.
it can read all your documents. And so
Mhm.
I would say that would be the first thing that I would do if like anytime the problem. And I still write things out. I still take my notes. I still write charts out. So I
Yeah.
first start with that problem, and then like you said, that lean stack helps you identify those early adopters. That was one thing you continue to tell me in the actual accelerator, was that to find your early adopters, like who are going to be the most people that are going to be willing to pay you from day one. So I would say
Yeah.
to use AI problem, AI early adopters, and test it real fast.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
before you go into the weeds and thinking and don't test it. Like that's three things that I would do over and over again if I was a founder starting out in this age of AI.
Yeah, yeah, and so yeah, that's perfect. Yeah, because like the tools that are available now. So if you think about when the app you mentioned that you coded for to help your sons learn, and and the time you spent doing that, and then when you start working on your A1C plan thing, and so and the effort it took for you to get that off the ground, and if you were doing that today, how much faster could you actually do it?
I could do that probably now within a couple hours now, me personally.
Yeah.
That weekend of the conference you all had there in Easter, like I crafted up that family health tree.
Okay.
Like that Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. By Sunday, I had a MVP,
Yeah.
right?
Well,
And
tell us about that particular application.
yeah, so one thing I wanted to realize was like, so my grandparents had diabetes. My grandmother, my grandfather, who passed before I was even thought of, like they both died like in their mid 40s. Like, and I'm
Oh,
45 now, right?
yeah.
And they had complications of diabetes, right?
Gotcha.
And so my sons actually are 40% more likely to attract diabetes because of me having diabetes, a parent having it. So
Yeah.
so I want to track that. I want them to understand that, hey, diabetes, high cholesterol, even mental health could be something that we need to like build generational health. We always talk about building generational wealth, but the family health tree is going to help us build generational health. And so what it is, I can put in my information about myself into this AI kind of family tree, and then I can add both of my sons and their ages and their names, and then I can add my parents into it, and then I can put their information, health information, my grandparents on both sides of the family. Then I can actually share that with some of my relatives. I can share that with my two aunts and my uncle, and they can put in their information, right? And so now we have this agentic now family tree of with health issues on it and not health issues, that now you can, when you go to the doctor doesn't know that about your family, doesn't know that your grandmother had type 2 diabetes and your grandfather died of a stroke, but this stuff is now being captured and documented. So generations from now, my grandkids or whatever, they'll have the access to that information to understand, how they should, how their diet should be,
Mhm.
how should it work out, and what things to look out for. That's the biggest thing. Like you can actually try to predict, at what certain age. When I contracted a diabetes at 30 years old and everything, like what was going on then, what happened, and everything like that. And so people can go do that for the same things for their family to try to avoid those complications.
Yes. So it sounds like, so what I've heard you say in three of the things that you did, you also said it kind of like Robert Smith did the same thing. he in his case, you said he went out to San Francisco working for Goldman Sachs, so he learned all about the tech startup stuff. And then so he ultimately he ended up leveraging that knowledge to create his company. You see what I'm saying? And so he's taken his experiences, and it sounds like you did the same thing, with your health issues and you developed the A1C plan application, and then with just you took stuff that was important to you and leveraged that to do. But I think what I've always told people, and I think this relates to culture, it relates to a lot of things, but the bottom line is your work experiences in most cases are unique. Your experiences in life are unique. And so and that's what makes you unique. And then you can leverage the AI to kind of like empower and blow that up, I guess is what I'm saying. So by you making money off what you learn in your career, it's a pretty neat thing.
Yeah, and I believe AI gives us all those superpowers. Like they say, if you have domain knowledge in something, that now you can take that knowledge, put it in AI, and now monetize it. That's the difference. That's going to be the difference now. Yeah, like everybody should like. I remember someone say everybody shouldn't be an entrepreneur, but everybody should think like an entrepreneur. But now you have the ability to actually do those things and do it at a low cost now, with AI being one of those tools to use. So yeah, definitely. I didn't think of it that way, Lloyd. Thank you for. Yeah, I love always talking to you. I'm always like, oh wow, Lloyd, I didn't think of it that way. So it's
Yeah.
because you've been there, you know that, and you see things in patterns like
But
that.
no,
So
yeah,
yeah, yeah,
yeah, and that's what AI likes is
mm,
patterns. And
mhm,
so, and when you're working with AI, that's all it's doing is recognizing the patterns. So when you have a business idea, you're the first one with a business idea, it already knows all the patterns of business ideas. And so that business idea prompt I put in there, what most people don't realize, I didn't start with the lean stack. I started with this idea that if you're going to do something in an industry, you have to become familiar with that industry. And so the first thing I say, well, if I'm going to build, let's say if I'm going to build a diabetes app, I would say I would want to know everything about the industry. So the first thing I do in the prompt, I said, who are all the stakeholders in the diabetes industry, and what pain points do they have to get a better understanding? And then, but I don't know all the ways you can make money with that. So I asked the AI, what are the, tell me at least 10 or 15 different ways I can make money solving those problems.
mhm, exactly. Yeah, yeah,
But
exactly.
because you don't know all the ways you can make money, you don't know all this stuff, and that's where you can leverage the technology that's already absorbed all this information. Yeah.
Yes, definitely. Yeah, yeah, that's definitely gold right there. That's a gem right there. That's a gem. Everybody
Yeah.
who's listening, that's a gem right there. I hope y'all wrote that down and listening, or replay what Lloyd just said there. Cause
Yeah. So yeah, everybody's experience is unique, and most of the people don't realize how unique their experiences are and how valuable that stuff. Yeah. So let's see. So what? So at a minimum, what are the top three things that are non-negotiable you believe every mission-driven tech founder should prioritize? So, things that you have to do, they're non-negotiable if you want to succeed.
I believe one thing that's worked for me is that you have to know the people that you serve,
Okay.
right? I believe in that, and that's kind of one of my personal mottos is that we're best suited to serve the people we once were.
Yeah.
And so I definitely believe for the things that I do is that I need to know the people that, have that same problem. I need to understand, their unique situation. So that's a non-negotiable for me. Like you actually have to know who your
Hmm.
end user is and what problem they have.
Yes.
Uh, I would say another one for me would be uh, one thing my grandmother always told me is that to listen.
Okay.
I'm good with words and stuff like that, but you have to listen it's twice as much as you talk. So
Okay.
being able to have that skill of being able to listen, not
Okay.
only to the words, but what market is saying, what things are going on, like being able to
Hmm.
observe, and also I think one of the most ones right now that we're all experiencing is to be able to anticipate uh, being able to pivot,
Yeah,
you know, because things are changing at a high level right now. So the speed again, back to that speed. So
yeah.
those would be the three things I say as a founder, you know, kind of know your end user, be able to listen and be able to pivot when you have to.
Gotcha, gotcha. So yeah, so that's fantastic. When you were on back in March, and when the vibe coding had sort of kicked in a little bit, and somebody asked, I think on that, how do you keep up with all this AI information that's changing all the time? And I think you mentioned subscribing to this newsletter. There's an AI for that, I think is what you had.
Yeah, it's a website called There's AI for that, and
Mhm.
now I have different agents that follow different things on and scrub the web and everything, and send me to my inbox like things that I have tags on. And so,
Okay.
so I'm actually using agents to help me learn and focus on
Okay.
the things that I actually want to learn. So that's another thing that
So could walk us through what your approach for doing that?
Yeah, so to keep up with some of the things that's going on with AI, I follow YC Combinator, because a
Yeah.
lot of things,
Yeah.
a lot of videos, they have different people that come on. So I follow that channel. So I have an agent that follows that YouTube channel. And
Yeah.
anytime that a new video is posted, it has fits a certain criteria, a subject or word,
Mhm.
my agent sends that to my spreadsheet. I have my smart sheets
Okay.
page, and then it sends me a text message, and then
Yeah.
I get that link to that video. So that's kind of one way I'm doing it. And then also different coding information. So like the different platforms, vibe coding platforms like Replit is one I use. I think
Okay.
Lovable, and then
Got
what's the other one I use? Base 44 is some of those. And so I have like a channel, I have an agent that follows them on like updating their documentation and
Yeah.
everything. So that's kind of how I'm using it right now. And then I also use it for health, for some of the new health information that may be coming about diabetes, and following all the competitors in diabetes space like Dexicon and Abbott and some Medtronics and stuff like that.
Okay.
Medtronics. I use it to follow them to keep up on what they're doing in the space. So
Yeah. Yeah. So I do a couple of things, and let me share my screen here to kind of show one of the things I do that took some of the stress of trying um, um, to keep up is so this looks like it's just an app. It's not a website that you can use, but this is Hux.com. I'll put it in there. And right now they're not charging anything, so I'm not sure what's up with that. But what happens is is that so when you first log on to the app, you kind of tell it what you're interested in, and you can also connect it to your email, um, etc. The and your calendar. So every morning when I get up, it knows what I'm interested in. So it tells me what's going on today on my calendar, and it tells me, what, my important emails or whatever. And but then it gives me all the news updates for the things I'm interested in. And so it's pretty neat. And then it has several, but you can also actually feed it information, and it'll generate podcasts for that. That's what I originally got it for, but I don't actually use it for that anymore. I just let it, keep. And what I'm really missing now is something to remind me all my tasks that I need to do every day. And so that's maybe I just need to create an agent, huh?
yeah, I would do an agent, or if you're using Cloud Desktop, you
Okay.
can connect everything to that. Your calendar, your HubSpot, your LinkedIn, like Zapier, your Notion, everything that you have, you can connect it to Cloud Desktop,
Okay.
and you can just type in and it'll pull everything up for you right then and there, just one stop shop. I think that's what's gonna end up happening here. We have all these uh,
Yeah,
AI tools, and I
yeah.
believe is it ChatGPT? They already have like a AI store. So
Oh yeah,
someone's saying,
yeah,
yeah,
yeah, yeah.
yeah, they're gonna be like, it's just gonna be just as big as the App Store. The AI store is gonna be a total big store and stuff like that. So yeah.
Yeah, but I just think that for and but it does all that, but it also has several, news update things that you can different subject areas that like I listen to one on prompting and I listen to one on AI. Yeah, but you also can give it information or have it search for information and create a podcast for you to listen to. But that helps out a lot. But also leverage my Google feed on my phone as well, and it it generally has a new podcast every day for all the things I'm interested in. So I don't have to worry about doing as much scrolling because it already knows what I'm interested in.
Exactly, exactly. Yeah. And that's what people are going to use them for. Like, we're going to be able to do things and save time and focus on those high volume activities in our lives. And it's going to be across the board. It's not just going to be in business. It's going to be in our personal lives as well. Yeah.
Yeah, so I was coming from a meeting this afternoon, and so I decided to click on that app just to kind of see what was going on, and my Fireflies app had summarized every meeting, including the one I just left, and so it started giving me the updates on all the stuff from meetings and everything. It was pretty cool. I'm riding down the interstate. Yeah, so yeah,
Speed,
yeah,
speed. Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
That is
So
awesome. Yeah.
yeah, but it definitely takes a lot of the pressure off of staying up on top of things. But I definitely have to give a shout out to a bunch of the founders and like you and everything because everybody has unique ideas and when you hear these things, you can start synthesizing them to see how you can actually leverage them to help you move forward. And so so what we're all about here is trying to help you. If you got an idea, how do you stress test that idea so you don't spend years wasting time thinking about it? You can use the AI in a matter of minutes, or you know, but long as it's going to take is depending on what the way you do the prompt is maybe 30 minutes to get a good understanding of what the possibilities are with that idea. So, like, where do you see Black Tech Mafia in the next 5 years, and how can founders plug in now to be a part of that journey?
Yeah, so I would say definitely let's connect. I always like to connect with other founders, see how we can bring in like our tech people into the eco space and leverage and learn from one another. And so whether I see Black Tech Mafia in 5 years, I would see us, expanding into different areas and different connecting. I definitely believe that going and visiting different cities and different organizations and coming together, collaborating would be something that I want to focus on. I'll be going out to California in a few weeks to a conference out there and talk. So I'm excited about that to connect with some people on the West Coast and that tech scene out there, and just to continue to push on with the health initiatives that we have in Black Tech Mafia, help other founders, while they're learning this whole thing uh, about AI and being a source to help each other, kind of just like grow the business and do that. And then the give back to the community here in Nashville will be to continue to work on some things. I'll go ahead and say it. So we're gonna do a AI youth initiative here in Nashville, inspired by Robert L. Smith when he asked the
Okay.
question. When I asked the question, and so this is my answer. The answer to that question is action. And
Yeah,
so I've reached out to a couple principals here in the high schools, and we're going to be kicking out the Black Tech Mafia AI Youth Initiative. And so that's going to be a 6 to 8 week program for us to provide curriculum and everything and access to AI tools for the students to kind of learn that, because, jobs. will be there. Certain different jobs will be there, but
Mhm.
that's where we're gonna be at. That's what we're gonna be doing here in Nashville, and hopefully we can spread that to other communities. So as we meet people that are passionate about their community and have their business in their community, maybe they'll think about also taking that into the classroom, into the community centers, and just pressing forward with this thing because this is like Robert F. Smith said, and I tell people you don't have to listen to Ray Arsenault, but I know Robert F. Smith said that this is going to change us the way we live by magnitudes, AI,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
and so yeah,
Yeah, so people, they hear you saying something, but you learn it, through watching and following these other people. And so, but you have your unique spin on it, your personal spin on it and your life. And I feel the same way. So when I tell people about the startup stuff, they said they think it may be from all my experience. So yeah, I have a lot of experience developing technology, but the deal is I'm taking standard information from the people who spend their life doing it and trying to relate the information to you as a founder. It's not my I can share the way my personal thing, how I leverage it and use it and how I learn it. But literally, a guy like Ash Murray that's been working with tens of thousands of founders and seeing how they do it and who's successful and who's not successful and learning the experiments and what they do. So why should I create something new? I can, but I at least need to try to get this information, but I can put my own spin on it. And then like that other program we got, Startup Science, why wouldn't I listen to that guy? That guy's had 12 exits totaling several $billion. Why wouldn't I listen to him? Why should I try to reinvent the wheel and that information is already there? So we make that information available to founders. So you don't have to say you don't have access to the information because you getting the information from experts, and we're just helping you learn and helping you understand it and how to apply it.
yeah, yeah, definitely, yeah. That's well said, Lloyd. As always, another jewel, y'all. So y'all
Yeah.
heard it from Lloyd Rashad. Yeah,
But you, like I said, you're not starting from scratch. You're following Robert Smith and uh, John Hope Bryan. Yeah, and all these guys, they've been there, done that. So, and they got the inside information.
yeah, yeah, and that's what we do. Like I said, we all just got to do that in our own community and on our own levels. And
Yeah,
so we all got our superpowers and our highest and best use in our community. I really believe that. So, and if we continue to believe that and work for it, we'll continue to press forward. So,
yeah. And I don't want to forget this before we get off here. But do you help other people develop apps as well, applications as well with
yes,
Tech
yeah,
Mafia?
yeah, I do. That's one thing, to be an ecosystem for those people that are non-technical and everything like that. So, and I'm working with a lot of people that helps with Black Tech Mafia that have been out of work in technology, and everything. So that's another thing to provide economic opportunities for people that wouldn't got this training, and some of the people that I went to school with that don't have like 9 to 5 jobs in tech, but still have the ability to do it. So that's been something we've been doing, like just end up happening. So yeah, we help other founders in those spaces. We have consultations with them and kind of talk about it and kind of show them how people that like to do the DIYs, and then I have people that want to contract us to actually do some of the work. So yeah, that's been a blessing. That's been actually a good signal too for a lot of us too.
Yeah, yeah. So put the web link there so people can get on it. But I noticed on that website you also have access to your A1C plan and your family health history out thing there.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you can learn more about that. But this is one tip I want to make sure founders, and I see this too often, and I want to make sure founders know about. So like so on your pricing page, so almost every um, software solution or thing, they have like a trial period of like, so like with the new AI um, um, thing, vibe coding thing. So what I see there is they may give you some free credits to use to try it out. Like Adaptive.ai, it gives you 100 credits every week on the free plan, so you can build stuff with, and you don't have to be a coder to use that, because they don't even show you the code. But for general pricing SaaS products, they typically give you like a week's trial or a 14-day trial or a month trial. That's to take the friction away from you understanding what their product there is. So you get that free trial, and you get to test drive it, and then you either automatically convert to paid, or you have to actually, if you want to continue to use it, you have to give your credit card information. But I think we could make more sales if we just follow some of these same practices. And I see a lot of founders actually struggling with selling their product. And so the way the sales funnel work is you get people to your site or whatever, or you connect with people, and then you try to get them to do a trial, and then a certain percentage of those are going to buy, and that's, you just get that sales funnel going.
Yeah,
And
and yeah, that's definitely what I did with the diabetes healthcare company and the A1C plan. We got a 14-day trial for them
okay,
to try it, and then go from there. They'll still have access to some of the the premium at the beginning, premium, and then they'll still have access to other tools and resources and stuff if they don't continue. But like you said, that's our goal, to get them to understand the benefit and the value in those 14 days to go ahead and become paying customers and part of our community.
yeah,
Yeah.
I guess I'll let you explain the other app, but could you explain what's the about the A1C plan app real quick before we jump off?
Yeah, so the A1C plan is basically it takes all the ecosystem of having diabetes. Having diabetes is about diet, exercise, your medication, your health, mental health. So it takes all this stuff to help you a more holistic approach. So like some of the diabetes apps now, they're just all about putting in your food and doing your numbers for you, but it doesn't do all the other stuff that accompanies with having diabetes. Because diabetes is a lifestyle change when you get it. And so that's kind of what how it is set up to be something that'll be like that all in one. And then it's generated with AI. So now you
Mm.
have you be able to see your patterns and be able to share that with your medical provider, and then share it with a family member and all that stuff there. And so it's kind of your buddy, your AI diabetes companion. That's what we want to be like, the as you told me, the Siri of AI, not Siri, but the Chat GTP of diabetes care. That's what the A1C plan wants to be.
Yeah. Okay. Fantastic. And I put the link to your solution page here so folks can actually see it. So, any last comment you want to make to the audience before we check out?
Well, I definitely want to thank you again, Lloyd, for the opportunity. As
Mhm.
you continue to, give into founders there in Florida and all over. Also, I want to thank everyone that has continued to be with me on this roller coaster, and for the other founders and people watching tonight. Again, just continue to. I have 6 things that I always like to share with people,
Okay.
and so I always talk about, the new hustle is tech, but really I have an acronym I use. It's called hustle, and so I would say what hustle really is being humble. It's about having unity with it oneself and what you do and what you say. It's all about sacrifice as well, uh,
Okay.
trust and love and endurance.
Oh,
And I
that's
would tell people to if you want to live a hustle driven life, just follow those 6 principles, and anything that you face, regardless of how big or how hard it may be, it won't be able to do you. And those are principles that my grandmother gave me as a praying woman, and so that's what I would give to people, to be able to do that. It's more about that, and then everything else will work itself out.
Yeah, so one thing I'll take away from your conversation, that you it's like you don't have to start anything from scratch. Just you observe the people in your life, and the wisdom that they have. So you don't have to start from scratch. You don't have to start from zero.
Yeah. Yeah.
You can move forward. So we appreciate you coming. If you just hang on just a second, next week we got a founder, I think out of St. Louis. and she's developed some using the 3D printing to do plant pots for do self watering, and so so she's been having a bunch of success. So we'll hear her share her story. I think her name is Kay Wells. So she'll be on next week. So I think that'll be a good event to for folks to listen. So we'll see you all next week. We appreciate all of you all.